Welcome to Two Devs on the Couch. I'm John, and this is
Björn.
yeah, and I guess we're devs on a couch, and we were thinking that we would just do some videos where we would just talk about different things that happened to us recently in the game development field. Well, no, not really, because we can talk about whatever. We can talk about movies.
This is our show.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So
you just have to listen or
Yeah.
turn and switch to another channel. That's
Yeah.
fine.
um.
Don't do that though.
Yeah, so we have some notes on what we're going to talk about.
Well, so today we were at the launch of FIVR. So
Yeah.
we're both in Finland right now. It's a small country in Northern Europe, and a very active game development scene, especially mobile games.
Yeah, actually, I think during this, if I remember, I saw a a graphic that was going around social media that was showing during the Global Game Jam. It was like the last week of January, where like the number, I think it was the number of games that were produced in per country.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of this, it had the countries this way and then kind of showing, and Finland was the number one. Like, I don't know, it was like thousands.
Wasn't
something.
Latvia or something?
Yeah, then it was something right after Slovakia, Slovenia.
You sure it wasn't Latvia? Oh,
No, we were-
Lithuania or whatever.
Maybe it was Lithuania. I don't have the chart, but Finland was
I don't
number
know what-
one for on the chart. So that's what popped in my mind. So yeah, so game development here is pretty big, and the industry is pretty big. So there's like a nice how can I say, distribution of development from like size of companies to like, a team of one. Well, is that a team?
I guess.
Yes, one person all the way to, I don't know, actually, they don't get too big. Rovio, of course, is from Finland. If you don't know that, they've kind of, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you look on it, they've downsized. But but maybe, let's say, 150 people.
Yeah, and then there's Remedy, which is more like a AAA.
Yeah.
They call it, I guess, the Ivory Tower, if you dare say it publicly. I don't know, but
Well, it's a
it's
place
kind of-
where a lot of developers would want to work.
yeah.
If you don't know them, they're the people that made Max Payne. That's one of their...
And Alan Wake.
And Alan Wake, yeah. And Quantum Break. That rhymes with Alan Wake.
Yeah, it's conspiracy.
Yeah, it is. So, and there's also other companies like Housemarque and Frozen Byte, and those are more of the AAAs. But I would say the dominant companies, they're mostly like casual social companies like Supercell and things like that. So anyway, yeah, crazy off topic.
No, it's good. Like, we give a bit of background. So today today was the launch of FIVR, which is like Finnish FI, so 5VR. So
Not to
virtual
be
reality.
Not to be confused with the website Fiverr, where you pay and this is not, we're not paid for that, but where you pay $5
Yeah,
to get something done.
yeah. But this is FIVR.fi. We'll put a link in the description below.
Yeah.
And so we were there. They had a seminar. So they kind of launched the whole. It's an association where they're trying to further VR development, or like anybody trying to develop VR and kind of have a panel and share information.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big points that they had in the seminar part was that hardware is getting there now, and there's really good hardware, and it's getting better. But the problem is that there's no killer app or software, or like that's still in development, and that's what this association tries to bring, is that small indie, no matter if it's an indie company or a big company, that there's space and equipment and opportunities to kind of develop. So from a point of view of a small company, or an indie company, or just someone who has an idea, they would get the, HTC Vive or Oculus Rift, whatever they need, and then also space to actually develop.
Yeah.
Um,
And then they would kind of go through this kind of funnel or pipeline, or kind of think of it like a startup or something, where kind of when you come out of this, they help you to kind of start up a company and then look for funding and things like that. So so this was the grand opening, grand something. So they had different presenters from the VR, mostly from Finland and
a couple of Estonian
individual companies or individuals from Estonia too that are doing a lot of VR. And they were just talking about things like what VR was, or what we think VR is, or what is virtual reality, and trying to define these things. And then also it was interesting that, well, we'll get to that in the hardware, but there was a presentation, for example, new hardware that's just released. What was it? Oz?
Oh, the Ozo by Nokia.
Ozo, yeah.
Yeah, where it's well, we can talk about that now. So like, it's a 360 camera that Nokia developed, which does 360 video, not still photography.
Yeah, with mic arrays and stuff.
It had 8 cameras, like, was it 190-degree cameras? And then they had 8 microphones for like spatial audio too.
Yeah.
And it basically, the idea of that device is that you can just bring it somewhere, and with just like, they developed this new cable, so you just have one cable you connect to get the whole stream out. They have built in 45 minutes of storage if the cable connection breaks.
And battery. And also, I think the cameras were around 2K, 30 frames per second, if I believe. I think I took a picture.
It was 2 by 2K. Yeah, so 2K horizontally and vertically, 2K. Yeah, so whatever you would call. So I guess they're square or round or...
Yeah, somehow they're overlapping. But they were talking about how precise it had to be so that it could, I guess they're stitching the
amount of cameras and how to kind of keep it still affordable and light.
Yeah, and also mitigate like power consumption and, the computers you would need to be able to kind of handle the video. And they've built their own software around it as well that, it's kind of like a one-stop solution to handle it. So you're not having like, instead of having like, I guess like 8 video files, it's just treated like as one file. And then we tried that out actually, and it was kind of interesting that it was. I was saying it's like an out of body experience, because it's just this little kind of round thing with a little remind me of Qbert, if you've ever played that game, except futuristic Qbert with eyes. Oh yeah, one thing that was interesting also, that with the mics they were saying there's no moving parts in there, so it's because they had to pick up the audio too, so they created it in this way so that just the natural airflow keeps it within working like temperatures.
The noise would a small fan would destroy the whole audio. And
they were saying the benefit of that was that when you're filming that way, it's not intrusive in the scene, and also you can catch many different stories of things that are happening in a scene. So, and of course then you film, and then that would be incorporated into some VR. What they're looking forward to see what media creators and others would do with this. But anyway, we tried it on. It was very interesting because when I had it on, I was looking around, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm looking around, like I'm just looking around. It was through an Oculus.
I don't know if it was version. Was it developer kit 2? Maybe 1. It was really low res.
It was really...
It didn't, I think, do justice to the video, because we saw it on the screen.
Yeah.
And it looked much better on the screen. You could in the actual VR headset, you could see the screen doors, everything.
Yeah, it's probably
I think it was the
bad.
First one.
It was the first one, I'd say. But the interesting thing we were talking about afterwards was that there was this out of body experience, because when I was looking around, I saw the people. Oh yeah, and I saw Björn. Oh, he's over there, and because the position of where it was, I was actually. It's like you jump out of your body into that camera, and I could see where Björn was standing in the video, but he was actually 90 degrees off. Actually, his voice was somewhere else. But then what was funny was I turned a little bit more, and then I saw myself standing there, and then that kind of like threw me off because I was like, what the hell? Why am I there and here at the same time? So I thought that was kind of a...
I actually, you know, as many people, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you kind of get this kind of awkward feeling. I didn't get this much that when looking at myself. Like,
Okay.
I think it was more
You're
like...
better looking than I am. That's probably why.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
I didn't get that awkward kind of... You get that awkward because it wasn't one-to-one. You didn't... It was I felt like it was kind of a different person. This might be personal, I don't know, but...
Your twin brother was there.
Yeah, like, well, I think also the resolution, you couldn't really see the facial features were a bit blurry.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that because when you move the hand, like if I move the hand horizontally, the person next to me would also move the hand. There was 1 second delay, maybe 1 second around there.
Yeah.
So, but he would move, it would look different. Like, whereas through the mirror, you see the one-to-one connection, and you kind of get very self-aware because of the delay, maybe, and that you're seeing it from a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
My brain had easier to accept that this might be another person.
Yeah.
And I'm not kind of in that way, kind of.
True.
Like when you hear your own voice, if you're not used to hearing it, you're kind of like, you don't like it.
I hate it.
Yeah, everybody hates their own voice.
It's very nasally, actually. I guess because when you're talking, you hear the acoustics of your head, this thing, chamber is deeper, and then you hear yourself and you sound like Mickey Mouse.
But that was definitely a very nice demo, even if I wish they had used the HTC Vive or something, or
the new Oculus, the newest one. That would have been a lot better.
Like either or even the Gear VR would have been like miles. And but that was still, I think, because you could kind of see the resolution was really bad. In the headset, you could see it in the screen, it was good, and but the feeling, the presence, and the head tracking, all of that was really well done. You didn't have any delay there.
Yeah. But I mean, in reality, that's not exactly how they were trying to use it. They were just showing what it looks like. In reality, you're making content with it, and you're not thinking about the lag between when you're recording and what the thing is, unless that's an effect you're trying to do. So, but yeah, and then they were talking about it. I think they just said it was released in North America like a week.
In the US, it was
3 weeks ago.
Released. I don't remember the dates, but
there was a VR conference in LA or in California somewhere. Where was someplace? Some VR conference somewhere.
Europe, it's gonna be next week, I think they said. So basically, within the week, it'll be released at least in America, North America, and Europe. I don't know about Asia. They didn't mention, but
and did they talk about price? I forgot to ask.
No, they didn't specify price.
But I'd have to say, having eight cameras, and those mics and the whole thing and the custom thing and the software, I mean, it's at least 4 digits. But I would get, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000, maybe more.
Plus, if
25.
I feel like, I don't know about my personal opinion about when you look at these 360 videos, there's a lot. If YouTube has 360 videos you can look at. You can look at it in your iPhone and through YouTube. When you look at it from a flat screen, it really doesn't feel nice. But actually through the headset, because it's basically, you don't feel as much the distortion of it being spherical. And this is actually not only 3D camera, it's also stereoscopic 3D.
Oh, so it is.
They mentioned that. Yes, it's stereoscopic, so you actually see things in depth. Like they're showing 2 different pictures per eye.
Okay.
Well, I can theorize that it has to do with the camera, even the placements. They look like it's about how far
your eyes are.
Okay. So.
Yeah, they look like they spent. I think they spent 2 or 3 years developing it.
I think they got the first version. I think you said 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago they got.
Yeah, the first prototype.
Yeah, prototype where they were already showing it.
Yeah, But hey, what was the other things? Yeah, we got to see that. Then I got to see the Vive for the.
Yeah, so we did. So then we can the next was just the Vive. We haven't really tested Vive before.
Yeah, so this we lost our Vive virginity.
Yeah, and it was a company showing kind of a demo of, like, let's say it could, like, an apartment, so you could move around just like with the HTC, the stick.
Yeah,
and you could change the colors of the walls and put furniture. Well, you couldn't put furniture, but you could reveal or show furniture, and you could change color or tiling or floor tiling. So they were kind of looking at how to kind of maybe that, let's say a furniture company could show what, if you have modeled your house, how does the furniture look in your house, or if you're buying an apartment, it could maybe be used for, like, previewing the apartment before it's built.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that maybe older, they have a problem seeing like a blueprint and then seeing the actual place. Now you're kind of in that place, and I'm actually looking at getting an apartment myself right now, and if the contractors, the service had something like this, it'd be a lot easier for me to. Well, I actually think it would be a lot cheaper too, because instead of them having to build a model for each type of apartment that they're selling, they'd have this virtual tour, and then after maybe you make a purchase, you could even sit down with them, and when you're deciding, like, oh, what do you want your countertops to be, and you could just move in the space using the what was it called, the joystick, like the Vive's hand joystick thing. Stick.
I don't know what it's actually officially called.
Yeah, I forgot.
But our bad, sorry. Yeah. But it's the
they're controllers. Yeah, but they were very nice. It was actually kind of cool because just to bring that up, since we're talking about the controller, that when the guy handed to me, like, I didn't know where he was, but when he moved the controller, it like popped into like space, and my hand like immediately like, oh, right here. Even though I didn't, in that one, there was no virtual body, right?
No.
So there was no virtual body, no virtual hand, no anything, but my hand went straight for it, and then it was just kind of floating around. And you could, it was just like a
Well, once you had it in your hand, I think it vanishes.
I think.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. If you keep it low, maybe if you go high, there was this kind of thing that, like, a distance pointer where you could pick, shoot it. It looked like shooting a ray at something, and then
it's how the HTC has solved the movement, that you kind of teleport. So you teleport into spaces.
Yeah.
And actually, I looked at videos on YouTube, people reviewing it, and it looked really clumsy when seeing it then, but then actually doing it actually wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would like to play a game that way. It wouldn't be too bad, depending on the game. If the game is like a puzzle game, not like an FPS or something like that, I think it would be fully fine. Like, it doesn't feel disconnected.
Yeah, I'm waiting for porn, see what I can do with it. And the joysticks. Or whatever they're called. So what was so we tried out, and there were two setups. There was this one that we just saw. I thought that was excellent, and it also showing that this isn't just about games and entertainment. It's actually can be functional. And then the other thing we saw was, I don't know what they were trying to do. It was more like proving a sense of, they were talking about the VR thing, the presence thing.
It's the classical, like, they had a demo also with the HTC where you kind of walk the plank and you see a plummeting depth. So you can, you feel like, oh shit.
Yeah, there was like what do they call those? Not girders.
Well, it was a construction site.
It was a construction site, and you're walking, and this thing kind of falls below you, and
then there's a plank you can walk across.
And there's a soccer ball that I don't know what the hell a soccer ball was doing up there.
The idea that those had full body, like they represented the body in the 3D space, so you could kick the virtual ball. You didn't do it, but I did.
My body was all over the place, and they kept trying to.
Yeah, it was a bit laggy. I don't know if what solution they used, or it had a bit trouble tracking it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was the HTC's own solution or their own some kind of thing. But But after trying the HTC Vive, I would say that the thing they did well, like I would say there was no, for me, no like nausea,
Yeah, I
no kind of
totally
focus.
forgot.
You kind of
No.
really get immersed, and you know, they're really getting that 60 FPS, that really nice fluent head tracking.
Yeah.
I didn't have any trouble. The only thing which I hear that the consumer version of Oculus Rift is doing a bit better, but the screen door effect was still very noticeable.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish, like, I would personally, I'm kind of still like, I haven't tried the consumer version of Oculus Rift. I really want to kind of compare, but at least how I now in my mind kind of see it, that I would rather have slightly lower resolution and not have that screen door than the other way, because
I'd have to try both. But
it kind of, for me at least, takes me away from the immersion that I do feel like I'm in a virtual world versus a real world.
What was the Oculus I was using for that game I was playing? Right after there, we went and played that game. Do you know which one that was?
That might have been the DK2,
version 2.
If it wasn't
because
really,
I totally
really
didn't even think about it when I was playing that.
Yeah,
so that was interesting. So I would say, like, every time I had that thing on, the Vive on, the all of it was really cool. I totally forgot. I felt like I was there, but that screen door broke that immersion part.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's not like I would say, like, don't buy this, there's a screen door, I don't recommend. It was really cool. It's a bit like, you know, you can still get fully immersed, you'll forget it. It's a bit like,
and I don't even
that's
know.
not a problem, but it is like let's say you have that 1 second where you question your existence. You will instantly know that you're in a virtual world just because of that.
But I will say this, I don't even know if those ones that we had on were the newest ones that are being released, because the newest one that Vive was releasing, which I didn't notice on them, was it has a camera actually in the front that brings real life objects into place that pop in, like if there's a chair you're about to trip over. And I don't think that was there. They had, like, of course, the sensors in place, so when you're going out of the zone, this virtual grid pops up. Reminded me kind of like an Assassin's Creed kind of thing when you're leaving the world and suddenly there's a
That was really
grid.
well. I think that's a good solution for
Yeah. I like it. The only thing, well, in that situation, I liked it. Well, in both, I liked it. The only thing I wouldn't like, if I'm playing some role-playing game and I'm so immersed into it, it's same thing with Assassin's Creed, the same principle. Like, and suddenly, like, I'm in Italy or in the Renaissance or some world, and then suddenly there's a futuristic grid that pops in front of me. It sucks me out of it. Like,
of course, but I also think that grid should be kind of the final. Once you've gone over what you're supposed, like, I'm not saying you're in danger, but you're like,
the knife is about to stab you.
You should, like, you could use the natural environment in the game to kind of position where the wall would be, but that would also make it much more difficult to make certain type of landscapes, because let's say you want to be an open landscape, there's no walls, so you could put a fence, but then it becomes much more hard to do something that's visually stunning. Like, you have to, instead of focusing on creating amazing content, you will have to focus on just working around these problems. So I agree that it would pull you out from the game or the immersion, but I also think that it's for a reason. It's because you're gonna hit your head.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like I'm playing and there's a pop-up saying, "Hey, my controller disconnected."
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's less dangerous, but it's still, I feel like it's more like an error message in a way that, hey, you're in trouble. I don't know. They didn't show kind of if there is like within. I know it's possible to have objects in the scene, and maybe that's what they're using. I think that's what they're using the webcam for. That the actual object pops up, like if you have a table in the middle of your room or something. You could warn from that.
That's like I said, this is the first time I used it. I don't think that was the newest version, the one that's the consumer version. It's on pre-order, so I guess if you're a developer, you're the only. I'm assuming they were the earlier dev kits. So the new ones have that camera, and from the article I read, they were, and I might have seen a video, but they were talking about that it might have been on Tested actually. but they were talking about the the guy that if there's a chair, it'll just materialize. The actual chair you own in your apartment or wherever. Why you would have that in the middle of your room when you're playing. But anyway, yes, to increase the danger, the unknown. Now I want you to randomly place furniture in my way, so at any time I could trip over it.
Yeah.
So and
that's a new party game that you do drunk.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then
so but
people get sued.
But anyway, yeah. So moving on, we from there we went into.
So let's talk about there wasn't the most and we're not experts on the tech. So go to Tested. They have a channel. They talk about the tech. They tested everything. They have 1 hour videos. We'll put that out also in the link in the description. Go check them out. They're good guys. If you're interested in VR, they have really good in-depth talking to the actual developers of it. We don't have that kind of access in Finland.
Well, we do, but we're not personally doing VR development. I'm sure the VR guys might have some in.
Yeah, of course, but they probably fly over to the US. But what we can talk about some of the interesting demos we saw from game people. The games felt like they were indie games made by small groups. So it was either Game Jam or it wasn't Game Jam quality. They were much better quality and further developed. But it's type of game which you kind of you see it could have started in a Game Jam. I think one of them probably had started.
Maybe. Unfortunately, we're kind of talking about this right after that we came out of the place. So I don't, we didn't really even prep how I would say, I don't even remember the name of all the gaming companies. We'll try our best to figure out what they are and give you the links so you can see. But based off what we talk about, I'm sure you can figure out which one is which. But there was one, it was
they're not yet released, so...
Yeah, you might not even find them. And
you would have to have the VR gear also.
Exactly. So never mind. You will never know about them.
But
no free publicity.
One thing, because we're indie developers, and one thing, we develop more 2D style of games, and because 3D makes it instantly much more complex, and that's why we're still interested in 3D and VR, but we instantly start thinking, what would 2D be in VR? How could you use 2D, and what would that be? So, and actually then they had a couple of demos. So there was this one that is a bit more like an interactive comic book. That's basically
choose your own adventure style.
So basically you're in a movie theater. You don't see other people, but you just have a floating plane in front of you, and that's where the comic is, and it's interactive, so you have a gamepad, or if you're using
I was using the Samsung VR,
so you just tap to and look at what you want to choose in the dialogue.
I actually think mine was a lot more intuitive. I was watching you play. I have it but you were just kind of this and pressing. Mine, I just felt like
I didn't do anything.
Cyclops from X-Men or something.
I only pressed the A. I didn't really do anything, even if I moved my hands.
Okay.
The thing I felt, if you look at it was actually, let's start with the good things. I think that the experience was really, it actually, I don't want to say blew me away, but it was much better than I expected. It really, you kind of immersed in the media, and it's a bit like if you go to movie theater. If it's a really good movie and you're even watching it in 3D and it's good, let's say IMAX or whatever is really good, it has that feeling of you really get immersed, and then they did some parallax where you actually move and you have parallax.
And they have depth, different layers. She was talking about, I guess they used Unity, I think she said, because she was saying if you use the Unity file and you turn it to the side, you'll be like, holy crap, look at all these layers. Are they called layers? I don't know what they're called, but
there's no
depth.
Official, but they have layers. And
so they were stacking they were building up the images using stacked pieces.
And I would even I tried to imagine what if this was Mario or some other kind of platformy game or a 2D game,
like Paper Mario, I would say.
I think that, let's say you would play Limbo. That's a game that I feel this actually would
that would be kind of
create
cool.
Amazing experience.
Yeah. That would actually be really awesome.
Like, I don't know if someone wants to actually take a platforming game like Limbo and just make it for VR, but porting an already existing something like Limbo to VR,
maybe it might be okay.
It might be interesting, and it might actually be not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
Because you could then do a bit like atmospheric outside of what you see. So you kind of have an atmosphere.
Yeah.
And you can probably in Limbo they have layers of some. Well, they do have layers because they're doing parallax. You could do some of the head tracking.
It's kind of.
I don't know if anybody wants to really.
It's kind of like if you want to take. It might either be good or not really that much. It might be like I see a movie that's 2D and then I make it in 3D. Like I don't personally know. Like, is that going to be enough to warrant me buying it?
Maybe not.
Maybe if you have.
But I do say that there's huge, like even like let's say if you tried a 3D TV or if you tried going even to the 3D movie theater, I would say this experience. This is the real thing. Like,
this is much
if something's
better.
Coming out to grab you, you really feel it.
This is much better than a 3. Yeah, of course. So if I was to say, like, if you said, "Hey, do you want to go see a 3D movie?" and I had a choice, I would like that because I don't have to. Of course, I have a thing on my head again, but it doesn't. You don't feel that way like when you're in a 3D thing, and then I got like 4 pairs of glasses on my face over my glasses, and it looked like I got binoculars. So, but yeah, I would say that it would be like this. Well, it's kind of like when you release a new hardware. Always in the beginning, the problem is there's not enough software out, and I could see like if I have a VR system, and if I have already Limbo and I've played it and I'm interested, or it would be an extra thing in the marketplace that I'd be interested in buying, but I definitely wouldn't buy an Oculus Rift or for Limbo kind of thing. No. I'd rather have a game designed specifically. It's definitely. Like, how can we take advantage of this technology? So I would say like I would actually, even though I don't think Nintendo is going that way, especially with this new NX system they're coming out. I haven't heard any rumors that it would involve VR, but I would like to see a company like Nintendo do something with VR because I think they would do something really cool. They would take advantage of it. I have absolutely no idea what it is, but they would be those people. And I could see a 3D Mario work that way because, for example, the
N64 and all that stuff starts like the Mario where,
but they do that in the new one, Super Mario 3D, whatever it is. Even on the 3DS, they have a thing there. So I could see, I thought it'd be really awesome. This brings us to one of the other games we played there. It kind of reminded me of a 3D Mario, not like a super polished, but it's just a platformer and you're going forward into space.
In third person. So usually all the tech demos are about games that are in first person. So this is third person and you're kind of behind the character.
Exactly. And I actually really liked it, and there was some interesting parts where, like, I was just walking with the character, and I saw this kind of little bridge go this way, and I just, this bridge go this way, and then in that you're like some type of rodent with a lollipop. I remember Lollipop was the name of the game or company or something.
I think name of the game.
And you hit sheep with this lollipop.
Was
and
it
you
Lollihop, I think.
Maybe it's Lollihop, yeah.
It was the game.
And you were collecting watermelons. Basically, it's a basic platform collecting game. And the 3 things you could do is swing your lollipop to hit stuff. And you could also attach the stuff with certain things with your lollipop thing. And then you would collect watermelons for whatever reason. And the thing that was interesting was I saw this little bridge and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I turned my head naturally. I didn't have to think. It just naturally happened that I turned my head. And then out of the corner of my eye, I saw another watermelon. So, that's that's when I talked with the dev while I was playing, they were like, yeah, we didn't really think about it, but our level designer might have done it on purpose. So, but what I keep thinking of games like that, for example, I keep going back to Nintendo, that they would definitely, they have that knowledge and skill to come up with, something really awesome where, when that thing happens to you, you're just going to have this huge smile on your face, like, wow, this is such an awesome experience. Now, I'd say that's probably the only, or one of the only companies that I've played games that have stuff like that. Of course, I've on other systems, but I would say, especially for VR, they making stuff like that would be really good.
I would say like that game kind of works for me, at least for me, that as a proof of concept that there's a lot of games that you don't have to make an FPS, you don't have to make it first person, you don't have to kind of immerse the player.
Yeah.
You can actually just be a kind of this third person or God view. Like, I even think that this would be very, very interesting to make StarCraft in VR now, like where you would basically, you could still use the keyboard and mouse, but instead of just moving the screen with, because there, you're moving the screen and you have to be really fast and it's professional. Now you can just look around. So it's like looking down on a map in front of you, and you can just still use the mouse and select units and do all that. And I think that would make an excellent game, especially for competitive. It would give be
you
very
an edge, maybe.
It would,
maybe.
Probably an edge, but it also would make the experience really immersive. Like there is a thing when you put that on that you can't really get so much distraction as otherwise. Like you don't see anything else.
Yeah.
You just see the screen.
Yeah.
And the screen really reacts to where you're looking at.
Yeah.
So you get this kind of, it's the similar feeling like it's so much more immersive than a screen that's not VR.
It helps you get in the zone faster and stay there.
Yeah.
And,
like if you're reading a book and you're really into it, or if you're in the movies and you're really enjoying the movie, it's the similar experience, but you have that instantly. It brings you there.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so we played that,
and then there was another.
I got really sweaty there, by the way, too.
But it was a lot of.
Maybe
people.
I was exciting. I mean, I was excited or something.
Yeah, it is a bit hot to keep those on for longer periods of time, but I don't think that's a problem. You can probably play fine for several hours if you can just take the VR sickness. Or
and the another thing that was interesting. Well, it was. I don't know if it was just that the Vive in the beginning, was it the Vive or one of them? I had very foggy glasses for a little while and then it cleared. Yeah. This one, I think it just, I didn't have that problem. And I didn't really notice my glasses being on. I remember when I tried long ago, the very first Oculus Rift, I actually couldn't wear my glasses with it. And they had to put in these little lenses, which made it even worse. And I think they had like a Half-Life mod, like a VR, and it was just a horrible experience compared to now. So already I know it's much better than what it was then. So but
this other game was it's a 3D game, but it uses 2D sprites as like you're flying forward, you're a phoenix, and you have 2D
is
sprites
that what
coming.
You were a phoenix?
Yeah, what?
Okay.
Well, I'm assuming.
A flying bird on fire.
Sorry, game dev, if I misinterpret, but it was a bird.
Yeah, some type of flying red thing.
Yeah, it was a bird, and it did, when you picked up the shield, you got this particle effect. It looks at least like a phoenix. Yeah. That's my interpretation, at least, that it's a phoenix flying. And it was done with the Gear VR, the Samsung Gear VR, and it doesn't use anything else except tilt and panning. I think a bit there was, but I think it was mainly the tilt. You just look, and then the character which is flying forward, where you're dodging objects, would move.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there was no positional tracking because Samsung.
No, there was no positional tracking, but there was just tilt.
Yeah, but he did say the the Oculus Rift version would have it. But what it reminded me of, which we both like, it was pixelated graphics. We like pixel graphic games with pixel graphics, and it reminded me, if you're old enough and you've been in the arcades playing Space Harrier and Hang On, this old Sega games, and when they were doing that, parallax and scrolling and everything's broken into these layered kind of pieces. It reminded me a lot of that. So it was really interesting. The funny part where you're going into the stomach of some monster, dragon or something. You go into his mouth, and then you see like his rib cage there, and it was kind of interesting.
I think it was really cool. Like it has that nostalgia factor for someone who played like games in the early 90s, late 80s maybe.
Yeah.
It definitely has that, I don't know, that factor, and it was very interesting. And it really shows that even if you, like, it's still a 3D game, but if you don't have a 3D artist, you could still do easily
just layering VR the planes, and texturing. Yeah.
And if you do a lot, like if you would have an artist like Limbo, like a really amazing 2D artist, even if you don't go like they used low res like pixel art, but if you would go like Limbo and you would just layer it and then create moods,
it would probably look awesome.
Add a couple of shaders with no 3D objects, I'm very sure you could create an amazing VR experience where it really takes, like, of course not the positional tracking wouldn't that much matter,
but it takes 2D to the next level of what and what I think is pre-VR, the thing that was taking 2D to the next level was they were taking, like, if you're looking at Trine or what's the Ori, what was it called?
Well, Trine is
Ori's
3D.
Or something. Yeah, but Trine is 3D. Exactly what I'm getting at is that they would take 3D models and then lock the camera from the side that's following, and now it's a 2D game, but you could see that depth, and sometimes they would do like, kind of pans, and when you're running fast, it would run behind the camera. Now...
Well, even the parallax effect, like even if whatever you're doing, that, when you run forward, objects move in different speed depending how far they're in the distance.
So they're doing that pre this VR, but now... I can see the VR, like VR, of course, you can take 3D models and do the exact same thing, and it'll be immersive. But now I think this is kind of taking 2D and making it like immersive again in a different way. And well, maybe the 3DS has kind of given that feeling to certain games. But anyway, the point is that this might be something very interesting, an interesting thing for developers that may be thinking like, no, we can't do anything with VR because we're only 2D people, like, 2D development teams, and we can't. Now they can maybe think like, how could we use these certain aspects to make it, But I wouldn't well, who knows? Let's see. I think the biggest problem we can kind of maybe even end on this is that we had this discussion at the tail end after we saw the different demos and the hardware, is that, well, I was talking about like market penetration and pricing, because what was it, $699 for the Oculus Rift? I forgot what the pricing.
Well,
and
depending on where you are in the world and what currency, but around that, like, so let's say $699.
Let's say 6 to 7.
Yeah.
And I think the Vive, if I remember, pricing was like 8 to 9. Let's say something like that, 100, 200 more. The Samsung VR is like 650, something like this. I think or 750. Actually, the shell,
phone and the shell.
The shell's like 100 or 150, and then the phone is then it's a lower cost. Or even if you have the phone and you put get the Google Cardboard.
Yeah.
So that is cheaper, but still it's not the same. But it's still very expensive when you're thinking of this is not a consumer. This is like prosumer, like it's not really super affordable. I'm still actually waiting, even though I don't think they're going to hit the same hardware quality. Maybe they will. I don't know what Sony fully has in plans. I haven't tried Prometheus. What was not Prometheus? What's
Prometheus.
No, that's the movie, the alien movie.
Sorry, we'll edit that out.
No. Are we getting sued? No. Anyway, it's PlayStation VR now. Whatever the thing was called.
They're PlayStations.
Yeah. Their solution. If that's affordable, then maybe they can push it to more mass market. So maybe that's what ends up helping VR. But then I was saying like maybe they can eat the costs like they do their consoles. But then Björn had a good point that you made, where you were saying that because I was saying like normally what happens is the way the gaming companies the way the hardware companies, let's just talk about Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft right now with their consoles, is that normally what they do is they don't make a profit off their hardware. They build it and sell it at a loss in the beginning, and then they make up for it with the software. And the thing is right now VR is like, here's the hardware, it's super expensive, and we're not making up for it with the software because there's not enough. I'm not saying there isn't going to be mature software out there, but there needs to be a lot more. So it's still a very risky kind of venture to go in. They can't be like, we're Sony, we can just make this device and we'll eat the cost and we'll make it back. Like that is actually may not be true. And they're like, here's a peripheral, it could, I'm positive it won't be that bad, but it would be like the Virtual Boy for Nintendo, which was black with red lines, and people were like having headaches after 30 seconds of using it. So I don't think it would be that much of a flop, but it is still extremely risky that.
But people, I think that it depends on where the software is going to take these devices. Like now the early adopters, the people who kind of have the money are going to buy it.
And amusement parks.
Definitely. Yeah. But I even see personally that, how in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, you kind of would go and spend a lot of money on creating kind of a movie theater for yourself. I really think that the only thing is that this is not social. Like if you have a friend over, you can't, if you don't have two headsets, and even if you do, it's kind of weird. But it definitely, if you want, just have the ultimate experience of even watching a movie that's 2D even 3D.
They have sex in Demolition Man that way. Sandra Bullock and Sylvester Stallone. I think it was Demolition Man, right? And then do you want to have sex? No, she didn't have that accent. It was. Anyway, I don't really like Sandra Bullock. Yeah, right now Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock. Happy Women's Day, ladies. Sandra Bullock being an Eastern European man, and then she's like, "Do you want to have sex with me?" And then Sylvester Stallone is like, "Oh yeah." I don't know why he sounds like that. I can't even do it right now. Anyway, I'll work on my Sylvester Stallone. And then he puts it on they put on these headsets, and then they're having orgasms with flashing lights. It was very strange.
It's like a Windows screensaver going on.
And then he rips it off. This isn't blah 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 and whatever. So I don't even know.
But I was making the point that let's say you get if you have good headphones, we backed OSIC, and or something else,
supposedly.
If the Oculus Rift has the
3D positional.
So if you have good headphones, and then you have Oculus Rift or HTC Vive, and you're watching a movie, it definitely you can. Well, you have basically an infinite screen. You can make it as close or as far away. You don't have to buy a 100-inch TV. And it's going to be anyway much more immersive because you really are in a pitch dark room. Yeah,
I haven't worn one of them long enough to know. It would be nice to sit through because I told you I was sweating after but that wasn't a good environment. But maybe I would like to see a few hours using it, and if it's I'm going to go to the movie theater, I'll just pop this on. But like I was saying earlier, I still feel like that's a very prosumer
but
product.
What I was getting at is let's say that, you know, if this goes forward, more like early adopters, developers, people get excited that, you know, are kind of in the smaller group of people who, you know, the niche, they get excited, you know, then, you know, just like, you know, nowadays to have a good movie theater experience at home is you don't, you know, they sell prepaid packages and you might spend 1,500 euros on that. I think that, you know, because hardware is going to get cheaper, and, you know, the requirements of the specs, like the CPU, everything, like right now it's a top end gaming PC, or you need
I can't even run an Oculus.
Like in 5 years it's going to be an average, but less. So and maybe even where, you know,
the computers, I wouldn't be surprised in 10 years the computer's built into the device.
Yeah, well,
like the processing could even go like even more on this.
They're already doing that in Gear VR, so it's already a proof of concept that it's possible even within 5 years. But what I mean is like that. Okay, you would have to spend still 800 euros or dollars or whatever your currency is,
except for pounds, because that's crazy.
Yeah, and then it's like 400 or something. I don't know.
400. It's more. It's like 4,000. Pounds are more than euros and dollars. Pounds are crazy.
No, yeah. That's why it's 400, and then it's
yeah. Sorry, you were bringing. Yeah. Never mind. That'd be quiet.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll edit that out too. Anyway, so just that there is a potential. Like it's still like when you buy a new TV, you don't buy it. You know, you buy it every couple of years. You kind of think about it. You have to save money. It might come to that category. The only thing I don't know, like the only thing kind of which is kind of to be seen, is because TV is usually a social experience, so it's easier to splurge 1,500 or some like a big enormous, like half your salary.
3,500. My tax returns from last year.
Half your salary about on that thing, because, you know, hey, you get it through, you know, your wife's gonna accept it because she's gonna watch her whatever anime or whatever.
Harem anime, reverse harem anime. That's what she watches.
Whatever she's watching, and, you know, your kids can watch their, you know, anime too. Everybody's just watching anime. Actually, we are just this is different animes.
We watch different animes. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Finland. We only watch animes here. Yes. Everybody. So how would then the kind of the VR, because it's kind of personal, not personal that you couldn't share it with someone else, but only one person can use it at a time. How are they gonna? And then there's no social interaction, so, you know, you can't eat at the dinner table. Well, you should watch TV and.
Well, the mouth isn't covered. You could eat. You wouldn't know what you're eating. Eat a cockroach.
Well, maybe we should do it. This is how you get kids to eat their vegetables.
Yes, it's
VR.
Steak. It's steak, honey, but it tastes like Brussels sprouts. No, it's steak. Don't worry. Just keep the goggles on. But it's exciting, and we'll if there's more, we'll keep you up to date. And if you want like more accurate information, this is just our point of view. You can always comment if we. Exactly. Go to Tested, because
they're the experts.
We pull most of this out of our asses, so, you know, I would say it's all
mainly
opinion.
his ass.
Exactly. So you know, we're not saying we know the answer for everything. These are all just professional opinions from our point of view. So
as developers, and we're definitely excited, but as always with new tech, there's always this kind of, you know, everybody's been disappointed so many times. But I think that this, now seeing the...
You're harder than I am about that.
Yeah, but it's still because now seeing this, I think that already that they solved the kind of nausea issue that they had already 5
I didn't
years
even
ago.
notice at all.
I think that's a huge step, and VR has earned its place in the market just with that.
Yeah.
That you can actually use it.
Yeah.
And I don't know who's going to use it for what. That remains to be seen. And then I think right now what they're solving, the big issues, is the how do you interact with the world you're in.
Because it's the software. How do you use it?
Well, not the software, but the a hardware issue. From the software, there's an issue, but the hardware is how do you interact with the world. That you can't. If let's say this would be virtual reality, you can't. I couldn't touch you.
Exactly.
How are you interacting? How to make that natural? Is it enough that it's a game?
You know who's gonna solve that? The porn industry.
Yeah, definitely. Those are
the Japanese.
Yeah.
And the Japanese porn industry.
But the Japanese porn industry, get in contact with John. We'll put his phone number down below in the description.
I will test all your equipment.
We'll put all
it may be returned, broken, or used.
Yeah.
But
there was one more thing we would like to talk about just shortly, is that we're of course developers, so we're developing our own game.
Oh yeah.
And we're not here to talk about the game really, but we because we like to share the process. This is kind of the culture in Finland that, everybody's very open, everybody's sharing through IGDA, for example, International Game Developers Association, which
go to your local chapter.
It's uniquely in Finland, and I think also in Estonia, it's all around the Nordics.
Yeah, they're a little more open with each other and sharing.
So people are showing their early prototypes, and this is kind of a continuation or extension of that, to kind of show how we're developing the games and what we're struggling about. We'll talk more in the future videos. Yeah. What we're struggling about, what are our issues. We're both currently not working full time on this game, so that also affects what are the issues. And right now, so we're trying to. We've set a deadline. So in the end of September, there's the Game Development World Championship that we're to give us kind of a deadline.
If you this is really I'm really old. So there was this movie a long time ago. I think it was, I don't know if it was by Nintendo, called The Wiz. It had Adam.
Oh yeah, I see.
Not the urinating, taking a whiz, but about about some championship kid that played it like Super Mario Brothers or whatever. And I for some reason that Gaming World Championship. I don't know if that was the name of it, but it popped in my. Yeah, it has a very old school name.
But we're kind of.
It's not that, by the way.
We don't really aiming to win the competition or anything.
We're just using it as not inspiration, but a fire under our asses to kind of have a deadline and meet it and move forward and at least have something.
And help us break apart the whole process. Yeah. So we're trying to kind of, what we did was we took the deadline, which is 31st of September. Now it's March. So we're planning on about making one prototype every month, and we're doing it the lean method. You can read up on lean development and things like that, but we're making it
we can talk more about that in the future.
Yeah, we can have a separate video on that,
how we're applying. Yeah, we're not experts in that, but how we're applying what we understand to what we're doing. Yeah.
So for example, one thing we're doing is now till the end of this month, which is March. I don't know when this video is coming out, but when then we'll until then we have an experiment, and we're kind of seeing
We have to release the video today because I said Happy Women's Day.
No, sorry.
Sorry, women. Go ahead.
No, sorry. It's every day's Happy Women's Day. Yes. So
I don't know.
Not always Happy Guys Day. Sorry, guys.
You have to ask my wife. No. She's not happy every day.
It's because you don't wish her a Happy Women's Day every day.
Yes.
So what we're doing is trying. We're kind of looking into right now. We're just creating very fast prototype to get the big pieces. It doesn't need to be perfect. Doesn't need to be the art style. Doesn't need to be even the theme. It's just to kind of get something that's in that direction, and then get it into the hands of people who we think are target audience or who would buy this game. And then just see what the feedback is, and then use that feedback to further develop it. And as we go on, we hope to make it more and more open. We'll start with a couple of people, and then the people we share this with and we listen to expands, where we hope that by the time we get to this competition, hopefully we can do like an open alpha or open
Yeah.
beta early
And
access kind of
as
thing.
as we go through we talk more about it in upcoming videos and weeks, and we might have links or some way that if you guys are interested in playing it and wanting to get involved, in the process, then of course we're always welcoming people. So
Yeah.
So yeah, but we want to be as open as possible. We're not trying to do anything like, we're not super secretive. Our all ideas are worthless. It's all the execution. So you want to take our idea and steal it and make it better? Okay, we'll go ahead and do it. So
it's who you're making.
We'll find you.
Well, yeah, it's all who you make it for and how you execute it, and that's when you
will
can
execute you.
Execute you, yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
But
yeah,
that's it. Okay.
That's it.
So right now,
videos
I think we have 0 subscribers. So like and subscribe, and as always, as I like to say, tell your friends, tell your mom, and tell your enemies,
frenemies, and everybody else,
especially your mom, to like and subscribe.
Don't tell my mom.
Yeah.
And don't tell me I said this.
Actually, don't tell my mom. I don't want her watching this.
Oh, now you're going back on your word.
Tell your mom, not mine. Our moms are not involved with you. So, okay.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time.